if you're spending time doing woodworking, you're also going to spend time doing cleaning because woodworking is a dusty business. And I think we can all agree we'd rather spend time woodworking than cleaning. So part of what we run into is that when you're using a shop vacuum in order to clean up after yourself or connect it to tools so that you're staying clean as you go, one of the things that happens is that the filter on the vac gets caked. And pretty easy to imagine what's going on here. You suck dust in, it cakes up against that filter, and the equation here is easy. If air can't get out of there, it can't get in. So we've probably all experienced this where you're cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, and you notice that the ability, the efficiency of that vacuum to pick stuff up drops off and drops off and drops off, because what's happening is that filter inside there is getting caked and caked and caked. And that's where the dust stopper comes in. What we want to do is introduce something that gets added in between the pickup point and the top of the vacuum to make things a little bit easier for the vacuum. Now, the deal with the dust stopper is that it's going to snap right on top of a standard 5-gallon bucket, and it introduces a cyclonic action to separate dust from the air stream before it gets there. So once we've come this far, what's going to happen is that's going to come off of here, and then this is going to go there, and this is going to go there. And then this is going to go here. And so now we're back to our pickup point, but dust is everywhere, isn't it? We're back to our pickup point, but with the cyclonic action introduced in between to help keep that filter cleaner. Part of what comes out of this is that we now have this as a system. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this sheet of plywood in order to make a cabinet that all of this stuff can live in so it can travel around the shop together. Let's have a look at that project. Here's the cabinet that we'll be building. It's very, very simple, very straightforward. Everything here can come out of a 3/4 by 4 by 8 sheet of plywood. Face frame is solid wood and the back is 1/4 inch material. Moving the top for a second. 2 rails up here at the top, and of course a full deck across the bottom. Joinery, extremely simple, nothing but butt joints. And if you use glue and then a brad or a staple and a couple of screws in the joint, you'll be fine there. Here on the ends of our rails, 2 pocket holes there on each end in order to join the rails to the stiles. One of the things you should do before you start cutting wood is pay attention to the dimensions and make sure this will work with your vacuum when it's coupled with the dust stopper setup. Using the dimensions I'm providing, it's 30 inches inside to inside across the face frame here, 27 inches top to bottom inside the face frame, and 23 inches from the inside of the back to the inside of the face frame. So make sure that that combination of numbers is going to work for your vacuum and dust stopper combo. And if not, adjust the dimensions accordingly. Before we jump into putting the cabinet together, let's do a little science experiment here. I'm starting with a clean filter on the vac. And on my bench, I've got a pile of dust. It's a mix of planer stuff and sander stuff. There's some pretty fine dust in there. So we're going to pick it up and with the dust stopper in the system here, watch it isolate that dust out. Let's check that filter. Still clean. And that's because all that junk I pulled up is in here. Ready to build a cabinet? When you're working with sheet goods, the easiest way to get started is to buck those sheet goods down to smaller sizes so they're easier to handle on your table saw. As I mentioned earlier, be sure to double check the dimensions for this cabinet. Make sure it'll fit with your shop vac dust stopper combo. The construction and assembly on this project is really dirt simple. We're going to glue, staple, and screw everything. If you don't have a staple gun, that's fine. Use a brad nailer instead. And all that's doing is holding the parts in place until we can get screws in. General rule of thumb with screws, use a screw that's twice as long as what you're putting together. So in this case, I'm using 1.5 inch wood screws to hold the components. That gives us one case side connected to the bottom of the cabinet. Next in the assembly sequence, fasten in the 2 top rails. Exact same program. Glue, stapler brad, a couple of 1.5 inch screws per rail. Now that's starting to look like a cabinet. Next step, we'll get the back on the cabinet, get a bead of glue on that back edge, spread it out with your glue brush. When the back goes on, you can simply use brads or staples to hold it in place. The brads or staples coupled with the glue have plenty of bite to hold the back. No need for screws. Pocket holes provide a great way to put face frames together. We're going to put 2 pocket holes in the end of each of your face frame rails. With the pocket holes drilled, we're ready to assemble the face frame. Put a little bit of glue in the joint and then drive your pocket hole screws. I'm using 1.25 inch fine thread screws on my frame. Pocket holes are such a simple and effective way to put face frames together. Very much like the cabinet back, we're going to put the face frame on by spreading a bead of glue on the front edge of the cabinet, position the face frame, and then use brads to secure it. I'm using 1.5 inch long brads, twice as long as the face frame is thick. You could skip the brads and simply clamp the face frame if you want to do that. And we're sneaking up on being done here. With the cabinet upside down, you can screw the cabinet rails to the cabinet top. Look at that, we've got our cabinet built. Well, there it is, all done. What do you think? What I like about this is it's a very simple project, very fast build, and it gets the dust stopper and the vac in one spot, so that whether I'm vacuuming the floor and want to just move this whole thing to have the system chase me while I'm cleaning the floor, or if I want to connect to a portable power tool and use that right here at the bench top, I get either one of those options. So it's a great way to take advantage of what the dust stopper brings to the table to help your shop vacuum run cleaner longer. So, as I mentioned earlier, we all get to spend more time woodworking, less time cleaning, thanks to that action that comes from the dust stopper.